Hello there, Sir from 17 once again. This is my wonderful 101% hard video walkthrough. This is the boss of Operation 4C, and I'm not entirely too sure of its name. What I do know is I made a mistake in my last video saying that we'd already killed him, and as you can see, we haven't. So I do apologise about that, guys. I only use it as an example, and now you get to see that example. So the very first phase of this fight is pretty simple once you know the pattern. You have to counter the lasers with what they do, and then use the opportunity afterwards to deal some damage. So whenever it involves fire, you want to use the Wonder Red's fist to dodge the fire, or to stop it from giving you damage, and then counter attack. And whenever it involves this, you want to use Unite Guts to bounce it back. When you do this, it gives you an opportunity to do some damage. I'm going to be using my fist as my main damage dealer. There are other instances where the boss will do moves where you can use different wonders. For instance, this one here, you can use Wonder Green to fire the bombs back, but you really don't need to. And I'm currently using him here to keep my combo going. Not for any other reason than it's continuously damaging the creature, and it gives me an opportunity to watch what he's doing next, which is fire. And my entire team gets doused except for me, so I'm left on my own with a handful of wonderful ones to riposte, which is one of the trickier aspects of the system in this game. But I played this for the first time in a couple of weeks thanks to Bayonetta 2 and various other projects on the channel. Earlier today with Aiden. And I was playing on normal, so it's the first time in a very long time that I've had slow motion helping me draw things. And believe it or not, I'm so used to not having it now that it actually hurts. It's kind of strange. I found it harder to draw things because it felt like it was delaying how quick I could do it. It was weird. There was a disconnect happening in my brain. So, something to look forward to anyway when you transition back. You're going to feel like you're light speed ahead of the game. And it's all empowering, it all helps. But here is the main brunt of the boss fight, and here is where I gave an example. What did they say it was? The Virgin Victory, I think the ship is called, somebody informed me of. Because I haven't committed any names to memory, guys, my memory's terrible. But it will continuously be hugged by this giant mechanical octopus, and then every so often it's going to go over a cliff and a waterfall. And the cliff and the waterfall is a cycled animation, just to give this an example of... I don't even know what you would call it. It's to make it seem a little bit more like it's a part of reality, because every so often it does the little vignette, and it makes it seem like you're progressing somewhere when essentially you're just looping Scooby-Doo on one of those corridors, which they just paste the plant, the tree, you know, whatever detail it is, keep pasting, pasting, pasting. And that's what's going to happen here while you fight. It doesn't seem to have any real, you know, impact on the fight itself, which involves looking to see what arm the octopus attacks you with and then countering it with the weapon that best suits it. A lot of them have hard counters like this. The laser from the forehead, if you stand in the middle of the ship, you can divert it with the sword. That is a hard counter. Some of the other ones can be countered with whatever you choose as long as your dodges are on point. This one here, you can use the hammer to not take damage. I decided to do some dodging. You'll notice the screen flickered red. It can be very confusing when it does that because it gives you the impression that you are taking damage, but you're not. Just like then, it's the ship itself taking damage, and in the bottom right there is a life bar. So do you notice how where we stood right now, the hard counter to the one you just witnessed was the whip, by the way, because you have to pull the panels off for it. But where we stood, there is damage to the hull of the Virgin Victory, and to heal it you want to do the Wonderliner, and it's going to give you a little bit more life back, because if the life bar goes to 0, it's a fail state, and of course, unless you're going to continue and start where you died, you will have no continues whatsoever because the boss fights don't checkpoint, and it can make it very challenging. But I recommend using the whip here. The whip has great range and great damage, and every so often it's going to come along here and drop off some people so that you can get a full 100 wonderful ones. And this is going to enable us to build the biggest of the wonderful morphs that we can outside of the final level. But the machine gun and the flail seem to be the ones that's left, along with the electrical one, so we just have to continue. Here comes the eyeball. You need to be stood in the middle of the ship or you will not deflect that laser, and sometimes you can take damage. This is the vignette, by the way. It does this every so often. I don't really know what makes it happen. Maybe if you see a certain amount of them, it fails you. It possibly could, but I haven't experienced it, so I don't know. When you do hit the rocks, it's going to enable you to throw some of them by looping them with the Wonderliner, and that will do some extra damage. Here comes the flail. I dodge it literally by pressing evade at the last possible instance, then I swap to the whip, I pull off the armour, and then I continue to attack the central core. I could have done a much better job then, but I was trying to pull stuff off. Here comes the gun, there's the witch time. Build the biggest wonder you can and start counter-attacking to get that extra damage in. It can be quite difficult at times to see the life bars on this encounter, so you want to be aware of that. And of course batteries are a legit concern here, as I take a big hit there from the lightning, but I Ukemi it in spite of the slowdown and the chaos on screen. And I can't even begin to tell you just how useful that technique is. It makes everything about this game that little bit more flexible, and I hope and fervently pray, devoutly wish that other developers look at this technique and say, there's something to that, we should really look into maybe making our own spin on it and just giving the player the opportunity to recover from a mistake that doesn't involve a hard recovery, a la resaving, re-checkpointing, reloading or using an item. And I think it's just so seamless and so interesting, and I'm very excited for Bloodborne because that has a very similar technique. However, Bloodborne's been delayed another month, so we won't be talking too much about that until more footage gets released or until I actually get the game. Because a lot of people are asking me when I'm going to get a PlayStation 4, and I say the same thing when there are games to play on that machine that aren't the ones that you like and I don't. And that answer is when Bloodborne comes out, because I just don't think there's anything else worth playing, folks. It's just my opinion. And it's pretty much the same with the Xbox One, but I have a little bit more loyalty to the Xbox One because I like achievements and I'm not the biggest fan of trophies. And once again, entirely preferential. You either like one or you like the other, or you like both. And I don't, unfortunately. But at this moment in time, this boss fight feels like it's dragging on a little bit. And it isn't, believe it or not. This is a pretty good run. It's not as good as it could be, because it's not an optimum strategy, but it's a strategy that's safe and works and will help you get through it, and that's kind of the point of the walkthrough. That was the last part of its final arm, I think. It's just a handful of minutes left of the video, so there's obviously going to be a continuation here. But here's a couple more team members, just in case you were having issue. I always thought that would be a good way to heal on this game, by collecting your teammates to bring your life back. I thought it could have been a very interesting technique of having it linked to your team. But then, of course, when your team takes hits, maybe you take damage and then you feel like you weren't controlling anything, as we completely destroy the flail and get rid of the arm. And we move on to the next part. So after the cutscene, we're going to be on the arm, and you need to move quite quickly here, folks. Run all the way to the end and put the claws on. This is one of those moments where, when you don't have the knowledge of associating the jagged door symbol with claws, it's very difficult to know what you're meant to do there, and a new player can very easily get frustrated and fail and be like, well, what the hell was I meant to do? And it's literally due to that, because there's a lot of real estate of the boss on the screen and you don't entirely know where to look, and it all looks kind of stylized and metallic, and until you get that, you spot that key detail, it can be quite tricky. But it's a detail you're going to be seeing often, as you can see it right now, and this is the final phase of the fight. So the boss is going to drill the deck, and then after that we're going to have an opportunity to rip open the I don't even know what this is, this kind of protective layer, and attack the core. Watch the shadow of the drill tip, that's where the drill's going to come. As long as you're nowhere near it and you're attacking, you're going to get through this just fine. You'll notice I'm constantly hitting it here and its life's going down. I think this is something to do with when you dodge and you get the spring. Occasionally you'll get this kind of slow motion continuous attack that happens, what's happening right now, with the drill tip. And it just does massive damage here for some reason. That right there is a counter with Wonder White, I believe his name is. I didn't do it though, and I just finished it off with a couple of quick punches. But once again, a couple more Unite draws to get us through this, get to the end of the boss. And then the awesome music kicks in, and we get to start slapping him all across the ocean. And of course, the Virgin Victory has crazy laser guns on it, because why not? To give it the coup de grace. Oh, here we go. Wonder Blue. Is he gonna... Ah, here you go. You have to draw a sword. I was wondering why there was this much cutscene still left in. I haven't left all of them in, but I've left the majority of them in where you get to do fancy things in the cutscenes, because some of them are really fun to watch. Especially the one on the final mission. The final mission is getting kept, because it is so goddamn good. But there's also a little bonus here, guys. I showed you a rank at the end, and I haven't done this, and the reason is, I got a pure platinum. I did not realise that that had even happened, and I thought I was being really slow during that fight, which just goes to show the time might not be so strict after all, but the damage definitely is without those checkpoints. But thank you very much for watching, and you take care now.